Hello, this is a quick explanation of my very scuffed NCR80 solenoid circuit. First of all, I'm going to be explaining my Arduino code. Basically what this does is it reads the A3 pin on my Arduino for the 5-volt LED signal on my PCB. This red wire here is connected, I soldered it to my PCB's positive LED terminal, and it's connected to this gray wire which is connected to the A3 pin. I have this basic variable pump which says if it's 0, don't pulse. If it's 1, pulse once to the solenoid circuit, which I'll explain later. So what this Arduino code does is it continuously reads the PCB for a 5-volt signal or a value of 1023. If the value is 1023 and pump is 0, then it'll set pump to 1, and when pump is 1, then it'll write a signal, a quick pulse of high to low to the solenoid pin that I defined up here. If there is a value that isn't 5 volts being read and pump is 1, then I don't want to pulse to the solenoid circuit, because that means I'm not pressing a key, but there's still a value to pump the circuit. So I just set it to 0. And if the value is 1023 and pump is 1, then a button's being held. And that's just to make sure that you can only activate the solenoid on a key press and not a key hold. So that's that. It's pretty simple. I'll include it in the description of this video. And onto the circuit. My solenoid is 12 volts, 2 amps, and so I have connected a basic DC socket here and connected that to my circuit. The wiring is very messy here, but essentially I followed the same circuit for the solenoid, including this diode here and the tip 120 transistor. I followed the same circuit from this video by Matt Inglot that I'll include in the description. And the only difference I took is that instead of using a button press, it's the pulse signal from the Arduino that's activating the circuit. It might be really hard to read where my wires go, so I'll just do a very quick rundown of that. This wire here is the negative terminal, negative wire of my solenoid. And this one is just connected to common ground, which is this row here. And this wire here is it's this orange one here, is the positive side of my solenoid. And that's just connected to the diode here, which is part of the same circuit in that video that I just talked about. Aside from that, there isn't really much difference between that video, that Matt Inglot video, and mine circuit. The only real difference is that it takes the 5-volt signal that the Arduino reads, and once the Arduino sends that pulse when pump is 1, that's what's used to activate the transistor diode circuit, which sends a quick pulse with 12 volts and adequate amps to the solenoid. So just a quick rundown of what a single key press would look like. When a key is pressed, a 5-volt signal will be sent down this red wire, which is taken by this gray wire and read on pin A3 by the Arduino, and the appropriate logic will occur, and a signal pulse will be sent from this digital pin 11 that I defined in my Arduino code here. And that is sent down this orange wire all the way down here, which is connected to this yellow wire that is connected to this resistor and also this blue wire right here. And this blue wire is connected to this rightmost leg of the transistor. Now, I'm not going to explain how this transistor and diode works as like a switch for the solenoid, but I'll just show how it's connected. We've seen how it's connected to this rightmost leg. The middlemost leg is connected to this second blue wire here, and that is connected to this gray wire, which is connected to the positive jumper cable, this orange jumper cable that's connected to the solenoid, as well as this diode that is connected to the 12 volts positive. And then finally, this leftmost leg of the transistor is just connected to the common ground. So without any explanation on the transistor and the diode, what essentially happens is when that quick signal pulse is sent from pin 11 here all the way to this wire, it will supply the appropriate voltage to the solenoid for a brief amount, allowing it to pulse on and off very quickly. One last thing to note, the value for 5 volts, which is 1023, may or may not be read clearly by the Arduino. I found out this while I was putting my board back together. I checked the serial monitor and I was seeing that whenever I activated a key press, I wasn't getting that 1023 that I was previously, and I'm not really sure why. You can see here when I activated the key press, well, I don't know where it was now. Let's try it again. I'm getting, yeah, I'm getting like around 900s again here. So you may want to adjust the value of detecting if there's a key press or not. Instead of it being equal to 1023, I just changed it to less than 900 and greater than or equal to 900. Just according to what I was reading on the serial monitor. So I'm not really sure what might have caused that change. I'm not sure if it's like some sort of wiring issue, like maybe resistance wise. But I made no changes to my circuits. Just once again, it just goes to show how scuffed this whole thing is. But whether or not this helped you, this is one thing to keep note of.